I'm so excited for today's video. I'm doing something just a bit different. You guys have probably seen my oldest son Kenny every now and then in my videos, but today I'm going to kind of officially introduce you to him. He's actually helping me with this video.
I just pulled up to Harvest Thrift Store. I'm going to go inside and see what I can find for Mom.
We're doing a thrift store challenge. I had talked about this in a recent Q&A. It's where Kenny goes in thrift stores and shops for pieces that he'll bring home for me to redo. I can't wait to see what he got, but yet at the same time it's just a bit scary. I'm not sure what to expect. So at the point of filming this intro, I have no idea what he got.
So at Harvest Thrift, found a mirror and a magazine rack. They were decent finds. Now we're at Mission Thrift in Berlin, and I'm going to try and find something a bit more challenging. So I guess we'll have to see. Alright guys, I found these candle holders. I'm not really sure what she's going to do with these, but I guess that's the whole point of the video, so there we go. I'm at the last stop, the Trading Post thrift store in Mount Hope, and I am hoping I can find a couple more items to add to the haul.
Can't wait to see what he has for me, so let's go out in the shop and take a look. Kenny did a great job with picking out things for me. I'm excited to work on this. I admit I was just a little bit scared because some of the guys had been talking about things that he could potentially come home with and make me redo, things that would be pretty hopeless, but I see lots of potential in these items, so let's get right to them. I think it's going to warm up enough today that I'll be able to spray paint on the driveway, but it might not be warm enough until this afternoon. So for now, I'm just going to start by taking some of these things apart, preparing them for paint. Going to start out with the magazine rack here, and I'm kind of eyeing the color. I think it's such a pretty color. I, of course, don't care for the design that is on the sides, so I'll definitely be either stripping that or painting over it. But for now, I'm going to see if I can actually take it apart. I think it would look good to have it maybe a two-tone, either, keep the wood for the sides or the railing, but it'll be much easier to work with if I can take it apart. I'm going to go ahead and remove the actual candle holder part of these pieces in case I want to paint them another color. So these pieces will definitely be needing some character, and at this point I'm thinking maybe a flower medallion or a flower shape, and maybe even decor transfers, not quite sure, but I'm going to go ahead and make the flower shapes. That way I have them to paint them along with the candle holders. I can always decide then whether I want to add them or not. Here I'm using a redesign mold, and I got this from Patterson Art Studio. I've talked a lot about them before. I get all of my decor transfers from them. They have lots of unique items on their Etsy shop. I'll have the link down below in the description box if you want to check them out. So I'm really eyeing this piece here, and first of all, I love the color that it is. It's that nice dark color. That way if I decide to, you know, paint it and distress any edges, we'll have a nice dark color showing through, and it works great. Like the one door opens. This is just a fake door, but everything works fine. Nice and magnetic here. And I'm kind of thinking, do I want to turn it into like an ottoman? Maybe put a piece of foam on top, put some fabric over it, and of course, you know, paint the base part. But I think this trim underneath here really makes it look more like a stand or an end table. So I'm thinking of removing that. Plus, if I sit on here, as someone might for an ottoman, I feel like it's just a bit high. So that would also solve my problem if I was to just take these pieces of trim off. Here I'm using a pretty blue color. It's called Serenity Blue, and the brand is Rust-Oleum's Chalked Paint. Once again, I'm using Crud Cutter to clean this piece up, and then I'll spray paint it with a bright white paint. It is the Do It Best brand, off-the-shelf white paint, satin sheen. And of course, I have to thin my paint down for my sprayer. And a lot of people ask, how thick do you make it? It's kind of hard to tell. I'd say it's a little thinner than maybe buttermilk, but a little thicker than just normal milk. You kind of have to play around with it to get it to the right thickness. And sometimes I misjudge, and I can tell right away, you know, if it's too thick or thin. You just kind of have to learn as you go with it, I guess. So here I'm using Super Strip to try to get this finish off. I'm not a big fan of furniture strippers. I've used them in the past, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't really get it to the color that you want, but I guess it all kind of depends on the wood underneath. But we'll see how this goes. I'm just applying it with my regular bristle brush. And here's a little tip: if you have any brushes that are a little stiff from, you know, a buildup of paint, this will take care of it. That's the nice thing, I guess, about furniture stripper. Will definitely get your brushes clean. As you can see, it's not working out the best here. Just again, kind of passing my opinion here on furniture strippers. Now, I'm pretty sure there's probably brands that maybe work better, or depending on what kind of surface I'd be working with, I might be able to get more off. I think what I'll do is just take the water hose and clean them up, and then just do my best to sand them down. And then if that still doesn't work, I'll probably just end up painting them. So I didn't get to film all of the steps that I took to lighten up the ends of this magazine rack. But basically what you saw, you know, the furniture stripper, that didn't work the best. And, you know, hose that off. And then I ended up sanding. I always feel like that is still sometimes the best option. I even used the belt sander just a bit. That's like a wide piece of sandpaper that's run by a machine. I don't use it a lot, but I ended up using some of that. That basically just takes a layer off, and then I had to sand it down to get it nice and smooth again. And I also ended up using some bleach. Sometimes that does a good job too, sometimes even better than some of the strippers. And I just thought it kind of evened things out once I used the bleach. Here I'm going to soak the little pieces that cover the screws in bleach also, see if I can get them lightened up. So these little wooden pegs were pretty easy to lighten up by just using, sandpaper. The hardest part was probably gripping them while I did it, but it came off pretty easy. So I ended up just making a new bottom instead of stripping the old one. And in case you can't tell by now, I really don't like to strip pieces of furniture. It's just such a process, and to me it was just easier using scrap wood that we had on hand anyway to just make a new one. So now what I want to do is try to stain this piece to match the ends. As you can tell here, this is a good bit lighter than the ends are. And I have this classic gray, I think it's called, stain, and I did a test thing on the bottom, and I feel like it's pretty close to the same color, maybe a little bit darker, but I think it's going to be okay. I think it'll look better than this light color. I'm going to interrupt this video for just a bit and show you some new products we have for the Etsy shop. I know I'm always talking about new products, but it is so much fun. Plus Mother's Day is coming up real soon here, and a few of these items are geared for moms. First of all, I have this package that we put together with the cutest little keepsake box. For those of you following along for a while know that we built cottages last summer that we rent out, and we put in some beautiful old wood floors, and we had some lumber left over, and we decided to make something with it and came up with these cute little boxes. And these definitely are fitting for a mom for Mother's Day or birthday, any other occasion. And they will come with a candle, a body butter, and handmade soap. I want to talk just a bit about this soap that I made this past winter. It's nicely cured now and ready to sell, but I think it's probably one of my favorites. I know I often say that, but I just love handmade soap. These were so much fun to make, and I tell you, all of the scents just smell amazing. We plan to use some of these bars of soap for our little Mother's Day box packages, but some will be sold individually, so you'll find a listing for the separate soaps and then also a listing for these boxes, and you get to add your own little fillers. In this case, I just used tissue paper, but you could do something a bit fancier if you'd want to, and there'd even be some room to add something else. So the other item we have that is geared for moms is this little cutting board that says Best Mom Ever on it. I think it's so cute. It's that perfect size to just chop something small on or just have as a decoration. You could apply a cutting board oil over it and actually use it. It's a high quality maple wood. And the last thing I want to show you are some of the new aprons that we have in stock. I'm so excited about them, just really fresh spring and summer colors. Some are waist aprons and some are the chef's. So make sure to check out these items if you're wanting something for Mother's Day. We should be able to ship it in time for you. Now let's get back to the video. If I paint a smooth surface like this, it's always a good idea to distress some of the edges. That way, if the paint does come off a bit, which there's a good chance it might, it looks natural, like it looks like it's supposed to be, being that it's already kind of distressed. So back to the candle holders, I have some decor transfers that I plan to apply onto these. I'll probably just cut out the separate little sprigs and just randomly place them onto them. I'm planning on painting the part where the candle goes in green, and I have this pretty green paint. I used it recently on my porch cabinet. You may remember seeing it, but it's called Lichen Moss, and I think it's going to match with the leaf sprigs on these pieces. I love how this color of green turned out. I think it really matches well with the sprigs on here. And I think we could go either way with the flower, whether we want to add it or not. I like to see it without, and I also like to see it with. So I think since we made them, we'll go ahead and glue them on using the E6000 glue. So here I am the next day, and we have another beautiful day here in Ohio, and I decided to work on my mirror frame out here on the porch. It's just so pretty here in the sun. It's just a little bit chilly, but I can feel it's going to warm up. So I thought a white glaze on here would look so pretty. I have this Valspar sealing wax that I tinted white using white paint. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use this, see how it looks. If it doesn't show up enough, I can always stop and just, use a dark glaze or just keep it plain blue. Really like how this is looking. I'm really into a coastal look. I know it's not incorporated in our home, but trust me, if I have a little beach cottage somewhere, this mirror would be in there, I'm sure. With glaze, you want to make sure to get into all of the crevices. That way, once you rub, most of it off, it still kind of sits in there. Definitely brings out all the character in pieces like this. I also have a damp cloth nearby in case I need it. If I see that I can't get it all off, what I want to get off with the dry one. So for my potential ottoman here, I ended up cutting a piece of beadboard to fit the top. And here I have 2 cushions from old patio furniture that I plan to cut the foam into the shape to then fit on top of the ottoman. Here I'm covering the foam with a piece of drop cloth, and the next thing I did, I almost regret it. It was so hard to do, but I have always wanted to try these decor transfers on fabric. I know you can do it, and it's totally possible, but it's so much work. I did not realize how hard it is to transfer these onto fabric. If any of you guys have any tips on making it easier to do this, like, I love to see the look. I just love the combination of the drop cloth and in this case these beautiful birds that I used, and it actually turned out great in the end. But again, I spent so much time and I get really sore arms and shoulders from doing this, like doing all the rubbing, and my hands from trying to hold everything in place. And John, bless his heart, even ended up helping me a little. I think, in the end it all turned out, but I'm still not quite sure, was it worth it? What do you guys think? And again, any tips you may have, I'd love to hear about them. I've used this stapler before in projects and absolutely love it. I'll leave the link down below in the description box in case you want to invest in one, but it's really worth it, from Amazon. I didn't get a video of this, but I attached the seat using 2 screws. I went in through the little door of the stand and fastened it from the underside, and I made sure my screws weren't too long so that if somebody would sit on the ottoman, you wouldn't, feel the screw tip. I also added these pretty glass knobs, another item from Amazon, and I'll link that down below in the description box. I then put the felt rounds on the bottom so it wouldn't scratch up a floor. I convinced Kenny to kind of share his thoughts on these makeovers so you guys can kind of hear what he has to say. So here goes.
Well, I guess I'm supposed to give my thoughts on the items after Mom was done with them. I think my favorite one is the magazine rack. I think that looks really cool. I mean, I didn't like the color or the design on it when I bought it. Overall, I'm not really surprised that everything looks really nice. I think Mom did a great job. I like the ottoman. Yeah, I think overall she did a great job.
I hope you guys enjoyed following along as I worked on these fun projects. I sure had a lot of fun. I thought Kenny did a good job in what he picked out. Let us know down below in the comments what you guys think. Did you like this sort of video? I had some more volunteers here in the family that would shop for me in thrift stores. I'm not sure is that good or not, some of the comments that were flying around, but it would be fun for me to do a video like this every now and then, and it's probably one of my favorite things. I've said this before, but just turning something kind of sorry looking into something useful and beautiful, so much fun. Hopefully I was able to give you guys some new ideas as well. As always, I hope your day is going great. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.